Welcome, everybody. I'm Martha Johnston. I'm the Director of Education at the Finance Authority of Maine, and I'm actually just going to give you a brief update on everything we're doing at FAME, but I am going to focus on the education side of what we do. So for people that aren't as familiar with what FAME does on a whole, in addition to helping people find a way to afford education after high school and all the great work we do on the education side of the house, I guess that's kind of how we like to refer to it, we do have a whole other side of the house that's economic development work. So we have programs like commercial loan insurance. So if somebody owns a business, they go to the bank and they need a business loan, and maybe the bank says, oh, it's not quite a strong application. They can come to us for loan insurance, and commercial loan insurance will help the bank make the loan for that business owner. That's just one example of the type of economic development work we do. But overall, our goal on both sides is to make sure we marry helping Maine businesses thrive and provide good paying jobs for Maine people, and then helping Maine people pursue education after high school so that they have the skills to take those good paying jobs. So it might kind of sound like we have two completely separate sides of the house, but they are intertwined and woven together very, very tightly. So that is FAME in a nutshell, and today's update is really going to be about what we're doing on education. So first of all, let me say thank you. This year, our Education at Work for Maine Award went to all Maine school counselors. And so I just wanted to open this session with another thank you for all our school counselors. And if you're joining us today, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you were with us that evening, I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but Mila was the more appropriate person to do the award since you all have such great relationships with her. And then if you're a school counselor joining us today, please know that we consider your work so, so invaluable for our students, and we couldn't do it without you. So we're all in this together, helping Maine students pursue their education after high school, and thank goodness you're there to get them through high school. So I will go through highlights of what I kind of consider our four content areas. College access, you know that world well. That's the world putting on FA 101. I'll talk a little bit about what's going on in our financial education group. We have a strong focus on college savings, and then we actually have education programs. We call them education programs, but really they're education finance programs. So things that we do that help people pay for education after high school, like the Maine State Grant, like the Maine Loan Program, like the Educators for Maine program. So we have lots of things we do to actually help people in the moment afford their education. And then I'll touch really briefly on our 3-year strategic plan. We've been working on that for the last 12 months. We expect to finalize it before the beginning of the summer with our board and actually launch it officially so that it will be a strategic plan that takes us through, let me see, 25, 26, 27. It would be June 30th, 27. So 3 years, fiscal year 25, fiscal year 26, and fiscal year 27. So thank you again. Great picture of those of you who could join us that night. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I was home with the dreaded COVID. Of course it happened. I tested positive that morning. But like I said, I think the planets lined up because you had the better presenter of your award, because Mila knows all of you so well and you know her. So the planets did the right thing on behalf of the school counselors. College access. We are all in this boat together. We are all rowing in the same direction. I know it doesn't feel incredibly comfortable given the rollout of the FAFSA being as bumpy as it is. Obviously, we expect those bumps to last a bit longer, but we want to do everything we can to make sure that our students don't lose hope. They decide, oh, I'm just going to throw the towel in this year, because we know if they don't go on, there might be a really good chance they won't go on. And so we don't want to see that happen. So I know you all are working as hard as you can. I know we're working as hard as we can to make sure students keep with us, stick with us. We will help you get through this process. So students and their families, we're all here for you. So thank you again. One of the ways you're doing that is attending FA 101 virtually if you couldn't join us in person last week. As you know, we've been doing training probably for the last 24 months. We're really closing in on 24 months about the simplified FAFSA, back when it was being referred to as simplified FAFSA, then it was referred to as better FAFSA, better future. I do see the positives, and I know Mila has said this, and I know all of our college access team has said this. We really have experienced those moments where families have said, it was too easy. I must have done something wrong. So we know that's the dream. We know that's where we're going to be. And I think what that's going to allow us to do at FAME is there'll be so many families that can get through the process much easier based on this new simplified FAFSA. They'll have more eligibility based on the change to the need analysis formula. And that will free us up to work with our most vulnerable students who really need that extra hand holding, who aren't coming from a situation where they have a ton of support. So we know they have you for support, but they'll have more of us for support, because the simplified process really will make a difference once we get to the dream, which I realize will be this fall. So we're going to have to ride out this bumpy storm a little longer. So in addition to all the professional training we've done for our college access stakeholders, we're working directly with students and families, doing in-person and virtual sessions. We are taking one-on-one Zoom appointments. I can look at anybody's calendar on this team, and I can guarantee they have multiple appointments every week with specific students and families. We have a texting campaign that Mila has been managing like no one could. She is amazing. And then we have a parent and a caregiver Facebook page where we have a lot of activity this year, and it's been a really great forum for getting information out there. And certainly we have other social media as well. And then, of course, my little bullet, next year, ... That is the dream. It is coming. We will be able to focus even more time on our most vulnerable students. And so we'll get there. We'll get there. That's what I'm going to say, no doubt. Financial wellness. So we're very excited. April is Financial Literacy Month. We are launching an educator's blog. I'm saying we loosely, we mean Steve Kautz and Mary Dyer. So excited. There's Steve, really passionate about personal finance and teaching personal finance. And so the educator's blog is going to be one more resource for educators who want to incorporate financial wellness into their classrooms, and to encourage educators to do that. A lot of people feel like they don't have enough information to be able to do that, and we all have personal finance information, and I think we all can gain more confidence in about sharing that information. And I revisit my budget regularly, so I certainly haven't unlocked the key to success, but I think the biggest thing we can do is not put our heads in the sand and help our students as well. And you know what? It's something that they can really apply quickly. I remember taking my son to school one day talking about mortgages. I don't know how that happened. And he said, how come they're not teaching that at the high school? How come they're not teaching that in high school? How come I'm only hearing about this for the first time from you? So I think we all have a role we can play, whether it's in the house or in the classroom when it comes to personal finance. So excited for the educators blog. Thank you, Steve and Mary. Invest in Me Reads continues to be a fabulous program where we share a financial education themed book with second graders, fourth graders, fifth graders, and then we have additional resources for our third, fourth graders. But this year is very exciting because we actually have the author of the book, Those Shoes, Mary Beth Boltz, is flying to Maine from Minnesota. She was always supposed to do that, but of course we launched the program in 2020. And as you can recall, fall of 2020 wasn't a time anyone was going to travel anywhere. So Mary Beth is actually flying in April, and she's actually going to read Those Shoes to a classroom in Aroostook County. We're so excited. And then they'll do another reading that night for more students in that school and parents and family members. So Invest in Me Reads, Mary Beth is flying in on the day of the solar eclipse. She's flying into Bangor. So it'll be kind of interesting to learn from her what she was able to see of the solar eclipse while in a plane. I'm a little jealous, actually. So the other thing for April is we have, of course, our Jumpstart. Maine is selected in 2024 as the State Coalition of the Year. Yay! Mary Dyer has been Maine's president for easily the last 10 years, because the last time they won it was 10 years ago, and she started before then. It's an all-volunteer organization. They do phenomenal work supporting educators, again, to provide financial education in the classroom. And then this year, May 17th at the Augusta Civic Center will be the annual Fostering Financial Education in Maine Schools Conference. If you were at the in-person event last week, I mistakenly said May 18th. So if you have a colleague that says, oh yeah, I'm going to the Fostering Financial Education in Maine Schools on May 18th. No, you are not, because that's a Saturday. You are going to be coming to that conference on Friday, May 17th. So just tell your colleagues that's on me, my bad, but I corrected it in time for today's presentation. The other thing we'd like to just talk about is our college savings counselors. So we brought on, as a pilot program, 2 college savings counselors about 2 years ago. They just started their 3rd year in 2024. They joined in January of 2022. And so we really have found a wonderful collaboration between financial wellness and college savings, right? What better way to talk about financial wellness, financial capability, financial education when we're trying to get someone to understand the importance of saving for education after high school and saving as early as possible. So there's been a great collaboration within our education division. We will be at the Inclusion Maine Conference, May 1st through the 3rd. We will actually be at the Human Resource Conference at the Samoset, May 6th through the 9th, because we are also preaching the good word to employers that, they could be offering financial education to their employees. We have an employee financial wellness program at FAME that I think is easily in its 5th or 6th year and has been very successful. Our staff love the program. And so we want to make sure more Maine employers are really understanding the tie between productivity for their line of work and people being distracted by their personal finances because maybe they're very stressed and they do need more financial education. They do need financial wellness. And then last but not least, the Maine Library Association. We will be there May 20th through the 22nd, introducing ourselves to all the wonderful librarians who do good work. And we hope that they'll invite us to be part of their summer programming for families, because again, we just want to get the word out any way we can about financial education and the importance of saving for education after high school and saving as early as possible. But remember, it's never too late to start. And then last but not least, student loan repayment falls under our financial wellness effort. It started years ago as default prevention, and then it morphed into financial education. For those of you that joined me at 9:30, we talked about federal student loan repayment since the pandemic payment pause ended last fall. We will continue to support Maine borrowers managing their student loan repayment, and we are exploring more opportunities to provide even more support for people pursuing public service loan forgiveness. Today's presentation with all of you as educators, we talked a lot about public service loan forgiveness, but we've also had a really great partnership with the treasurer Henry Beck, and getting information out to our Maine state employees who could qualify for public service loan forgiveness with their own federal student loans. So that continues to be a really important part of financial wellness in our book, being able to manage your student loan repayment and maybe even pay it off early if you're not pursuing some type of forgiveness. I mentioned our college savings counselors, so I'll say it again. They began year 3 with us in January. I said they were a pilot program, and that is true, but guess what? They became official and permanent in the fall. So they're no longer part of a pilot program. They are on the education staff. It is a commitment we're making toward college savings and financial education. We see them as a really important part of that. And the outreach they do will be to, well, it has been and will continue to be to Maine employers, chambers of commerce. They're doing a lot of work with our elementary schools. We have a turnkey activity fair called a Bright Futures Fair. We are trying to reach out more and more to our early childhood providers, and you already heard me mention that we're working with Maine's libraries. And that's just a small list. They'll reach out to any community-based organization, anywhere we can meet families, where they are, to help them learn more about NextGen, which is our 529 program for the state of Maine. So that's a good segue into our next bullet, which is new for 529s in general. This is not specific to NextGen, but there were recent changes in legislation. One is specific to 529s for the state of Maine, which is if you put $1,000 into your 529 account, it doesn't have to necessarily be only a NextGen account. You can take a state income tax deduction. So that's really great. And we want to make sure that you get it regardless of what 529 you use. So that's new this year for contributions you made in 2023. And then also beginning in 2024, 529 funds can be rolled into a Roth IRA for the beneficiary. Now, you might be thinking, why is she sharing that information with me? Because one of the biggest things we hear from people is, well, what if I save all this money, but my son or daughter doesn't go on to college, or they don't go on to any education after high school? What happens? Well, now if that account is 15 years old or older, you can actually roll it into a Roth IRA for that person, for that beneficiary, for your son or daughter. So that actually really helps, I think, alleviate the stress. Some people feel like, well, what do I do if they don't go on? Well, here's another option, and that's great. You're helping them plan for their retirement with a Roth IRA, so it's all good. And then if you do want more information about NextGen, which is Maine's 529 program, you can go to nextgenforme.com. And then this time of year is always an exciting time of year because it's when we award our matching grants. So FAME will actually support matching grants for Maine accounts based on their 2023 activity. We match a third of your contributions up to a $300 match. So for March of 2024, we have just awarded $7.2 million based on 2023 activity. We also have, I know, I like Nikki's hand motions. We also provide a match if you automate your contributions, and we provide a match when you first open your account. So that 7.2 million includes everything, all of our matching grants, and we're so very excited to be able to do that to really encourage and support Maine people in their effort to save for education after high school. We're also exploring other incentives that we can incorporate to help our low to moderate income families, right? It's not easy necessarily to find money out of your cash flow when you don't feel like you have any extra and you're just figuring out how to pay the bills. So we are trying to figure out other types of incentives that we can create to help you participate in education, preparing for education after high school. So more to come on that, but just know a lot of good effort and thought is going into how to support all of our Maine families. Education programs, you heard me mention, these are the programs that we have to actually help people pay in the moment, if you will. So as you know, our 24-25 ICERs have started to arrive. ICERs are those student records. That's really important to us because it's helping us update our system for the new file layout, for the new need analysis formula, so that we can award the Maine State Grant for the 24-25 academic year. We do have a May 1 deadline for the Maine State Grant. So now some of you might be thinking, okay, wait, with all that's going on with FAFSA, are you really going to keep a May 1 deadline? Let me just tell you, waiving the deadline is top of my list, and we will be having discussions at FAME over the next 2 weeks about whether or not we're in a position to go beyond May 1. For now, we just have to stick with May 1 because we just haven't had enough ICERs to give us the data we need to figure out, okay, what does the new need analysis formula look like in terms of us awarding Maine State Grant? But it is a priority from our CEO to our board, to me, to Mila, to Jen Lamper, our education programs manager. So it's not something we are dealing with lightly. So having said that, it's a $2,500 award for full-time enrollment. We did go out this fall with a very aggressive cutoff for the SAI. So our EFC cutoff last year was 10,000, and we said, okay, you know what? We're going out with a 10,000 SAI. We don't know what the formula change is going to bring us, but we do know that enrollment and FAFSA completion has been down since the pandemic. We feel like these two things are going to balance out. We should be comfortable going out with a good high SAI cutoff so people know that they're eligible for the Maine State Grant. So I'm very happy that we made that decision that we did in the fall. And then, like I said, our next big decision will be, can we go beyond May 1 and how do we get the word out once we make that decision? And then last but not least, for Maine State Grant, very, very happy to say that for 23-24, this is going to be the first year that we will have spent all of our funding since the pandemic. So that's a really big, important piece of news. And we're not going to be deterred by 24-25. We're going to get all of these students through the FAFSA process. And I'm very optimistic we will spend 24-25. So keep your fingers crossed. It's all good. We're all rowing in the same direction. We do have a lot of new programs that came our way from the Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan, and that is the federal money that came to the state of Maine from the ARPA program, which is the American Recovery Plan Act. So we were told what we would do with those funds, and they support initiatives that were impacted as a result of COVID. So healthcare provider loan repayment program, nurse educator loan repayment program, Doctors for Maine's Future, Obviously, with the effects of the pandemic from a health perspective, it was critical that we keep up and build that population of healthcare professionals. And that's what all three of those programs do and what their focus is. And then, of course, we have other programs. These are just a few, but I'm sure you're very familiar with the tuition waiver program and then our Educators for Maine program. And then last but not least, our strategic plan FY25 through FY27. We will have 4 big goals related to information technology and how we use data to inform our work. I'm very excited about that. We will obviously have a human resource goal because just like every other business, employer, organization in the state of Maine, we have workforce challenges just like everyone else does. So that's going to be an important part of our strategic plan. And then, of course, we will have very specific goals related to our FAME business, economic development work, and our FAME education work. So I'm very excited about the strategic plan. Once it's officially blessed by the board, we will go ahead and create a communication which will help us launch it so that we share it with all of you and all of our stakeholders so that you know exactly what's coming and all the exciting work that we're going to do on behalf of Maine students. But we can't do it without you, let me just say that. So you'll have a role too, trust me. So I'm gonna pause there and see if there are any questions for me.
No questions, but I will say that my middle kid is texting me to tell me that the kids got their 30% matching grant of the next gen. It was like, what is that? I'm like, that's the money I've been putting in those kids' accounts.
Exactly. Exactly.
Received, so that is it. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat.
Well, and just a plug, so both of my kids have already graduated from college, but I actually keep contributing to my next gen account and getting matching grants in case they go into grad school, right? If they don't, the grants go back to FAME and we re-award them to new people. And if they do go on to grad school, then they've got that there. So we'll do that for a few more years. But my husband keeps saying, can I shut that off yet? And I'm like, no, not yet, not yet.
So it's win-win, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So shall we give away some gift cards and people can grab lunch? All right.
Yeah.
Using a random number generator. And then I'm going to my list. And Deborah Moody, is Deborah with us? Deb is here. See, Steve, it does work. Deborah, I will be sending you an email to get an address. And let's do one more. Hang on. Go to my list. And Holly Barber. Those are our 2 winners. Deb Moody, Holly Barber. I will be emailing you to get an address where to send your gas cards. Yay! Thank you, Martha, for that update. That was amazing. And yes, I'm a fan of moving that deadline. If we can do that, that'd be super. For the rest of you, we'll be starting up at 12:40. I'll put a link to the agenda in the chat in case you are just joining us now. The agenda has a link. I will show that. Okay, in the chat, you have a link to get this most beautiful agenda made by Sheila. As soon as I can find it. All right, it's not letting me find it. You can click within the links. So let me go to my screen, share. All right, if you can see the agenda, kind of big there. We are currently in the lunch break. But when you go to the agenda, you can click on any of these sessions by clicking on the Zoom link to be added to it. And those aren't all open right now because we're in this Zoom, but we will be opening them shortly. So that's how you join that. If you have any questions, I'm going to be here for a few minutes, but feel free to grab some lunch. Thanks, everybody. Florika, you still there with me? You are on mute.